This temple's amazing. Jesus is like, don't be too impressed with man-made things. This thing's going to get knocked down. There won't be one stone left. So then, of course, they ask, well, when's this going to happen? Good questions. They're starting to get it. But remember, Jesus is explaining to them what the times are. The destroying of the temple, the signs of the end, and the abomination of desolation, which is the Antichrist. And last week was pretty heavy. Leah's like, Scott, it was heavy. But unless we understand the severity of the times, we cannot fully rejoice in the glory of the good news. You see, what I want to tell you is that we as a body of believers, we will not experience the abomination of desolation at the temple. We will not know who the Antichrist is. We will be with Christ in heaven for those 7 years during the tribulation. We will return with Christ in His second coming to establish the millennial reign of 1,000 years of peace. Now, I say this with the understanding, I'm going to explain to you, that I teach from a pre-tribulation perspective. Some people call it escapism. I want to tell you it's scriptural. And I'm going to make the case for pre-tribulation. You see, it's not merely a school of thought, but it is a scriptural necessity that upholds God's promise of salvation. It affirms that God's church will be removed from the earth before the 7-year tribulation period begins, which is the wrath of God poured out. And I will explain. We've talked about eschatology. We've been talking about this for weeks. And I want to start tying things together. But I do want you to understand, these are schools of thought. There's pre-tribulation, which means the church is removed, is raptured, resurrected before the tribulation. Then there's mid-tribulation, which means 3.5 years. I shared scripture with you that showed from the Old Testament, 3.5 years, halfway in, the church is lifted, resurrected. And then there's post-tribulation. And some schools of thought believe we're going to go through 7 years of God's wrath, and then we'll be raised up. These are schools of thought. What I want to make sure that you understand, these are not issues of salvation. Okay? When it happens should not matter. Because we should always be looking and seeking the glorious appearing of God. But I want to share Scripture as I believe that Scripture is laid out